Okay, so next up we've got Ben Cartwright-Cox, who, if you don't know Ben, you'll know his website. So he's going to come up to the stage and talk to us about BGP tools. Ben.
Hello, everybody. Just a quick, we're a bit ahead of ourselves. Hi, I'm Ben Cartwright-Cox. I'm going to talk to you about route collecting on LINX with BGP tools. If you don't know BGP tools is effectively a quick way of looking at the internet in real time. You can plop an ASN number in there or plop a prefix in there, and you get a real-time view of what BGP tools thinks, what that looks like to every other network on the internet, or the ones that are feeding BGP tools information. These are example ASNs I find amusing. For example, I just like the fact that the Pope has an ASN. It's quite funny. He even has IPv6. How many in this room have IPv6? You're doing worse than the Pope. One of the major benefits of this is that it gives you, of BGP tools, is it gives you real-time data on propagation. So you may be familiar with this from other things like bgp.he.net. There's also radar.curator. There's also BGP view. The goal for this and the primary difference is that this gives you data in real time. And a whole bunch of effort has been made to do that. However, this only works if you can get the data sources. You can also, if you're old school and miss the old days of Telnet, you can also just SSH directly into the website and access the route collector. So core points, as mentioned, this site was built out of the frustration I had with other tools. Running it is now my full-time job. It has around about 1,800. Actually, these slides are a little bit old. It's now 1,900, and has practically real-time BGP update data. Who is this handled a little bit better, I think, than other people? There's a whole bunch of extra stuff that I have gone out of my way to, make sure that it's just better than the tool that I would want to use myself, having been in the situation where I think the tools have disappointed me in the past. And peering and IXP data is investigated a little bit more closely than I think other people do. If you're not familiar, what is a route collector? A route collector is basically a BGP peer with normally some extra bits of software and configuration to record the data that's being sent to it. Critically, it does not use the BGP routes that people send to it to deliver traffic. Route collectors basically do not send traffic to you. They just collect the metadata, the sort of control plane data. They sometimes, in the case of RIPE-RIS, do announce test prefixes. You can do whatever you want with these test prefixes. I think the general vibe from RIPE-RIS is that you should carry these as if they are customer prefixes, but I don't quote me on that. So they're kind of a weird peer, as mentioned. So for your typical IX peer, you would send your customer, what I would call your customer cone, so the people who, so your routes and your customers' routes, you would send to an IX peer. You wouldn't necessarily, you probably shouldn't. It's called a route leak if you do that. You send your transit or your peers to an IX peer. But actually, a route collector, you do want to do that. You want to give the route collector, ideally, the full view that you have of the internet. So basically, what you would send a full customer, you would send to a route collector on an internet exchange, which is a very relatively unusual configuration, because it would seem like you are effectively selling transit over an internet exchange, which is forbidden, at least in some internet exchanges. So route collectors are really helpful to the health of the internet. Because the internet is basically just a network of networks, not everybody has the same view of the internet. So what you announce, obviously, there's no feedback mechanism built into BGP. So when you announce something, it's not exactly clear if other people have accepted or preferred that route or not. So route collectors fill this role by basically collecting data and aggregating it so that you can figure out if people are selecting your route or if there's anything weird going on. It's also incredibly useful for debugging. I don't know how many times where I've been in the situation where you sent something out and waiting for prefix lists to generate. With a route collector, you can very quickly see if it's been sent to peers or sent upstream or not. For example, the slightly infamous 2008 Pakistan YouTube hijack incident would basically have not been understood at all had there not been RIPE-RIS and route views. There are endless modern examples. For example, that time when Amazon's DNS, Route 53 DNS, was hijacked by some crypto coin people. Someone trying to hijack a crypto coin website. These tools are extremely helpful in incident response as well. So if you want to go and feed BGP tools data, which I would highly recommend you do, of course, just go to BGP tools, and if you can't remember this URL, just go all the way down to the bottom, and there'll be a thing called contribute data. If you log in through PeeringDB, You basically just get this form in the end. There's not many questions. Basically, you give a rough description of what the ASN is, so what the session is, what the IPs you're connecting to. If there's an overlap, in which case most of you here will obviously be on LINX, so there'll be a drop-down for LINX, and it'll pre-populate the IP information for you. And then you can do things like MD5 passwords. Critically, you can also choose on how I handle that data. So if you are OK with other people using or seeing that data that you give to BGP tools, I would recommend that you tick that box. But you can also choose specifically on whether commercial products that piggyback off BGP tools' data are allowed to use that. So if you don't want to be involved in a third-party commercial usage, you can entirely opt out of that, which I think is a very important feature. So what is in it for you? So first of all, basically, street cred. This number go higher if you feed BGP tools, because I can only see I can only publish what I see. If you are using the LINX root servers, sorry, lots of words that say root here. If you're using the root servers, you'll instantly get like 700 peers, which is instantly puts you reasonably high up the rankings. You can also, we'll get to the rankings later. You can also use BGP tools as just sort of a lazy looking glass. Most looking glasses that I go out to on the internet when trying to debug stuff are just broken. They either NX domain or they don't work when you try, or you insert an IP address in them and they sit there for about 40 seconds before telling you that the thing doesn't work. Really annoying. So BGP tools offers, assuming that you ticked the first box before, as previously mentioned, just offers a dumb looking glass that you can just stick prefixes in and the website gives you near instant responses for. Yeah, and also there's a ranking system. Everybody loves a ranking system. Basically just known peers globally, which is the one that you can change. And then things like biggest customer cones or whatever, unique domains, estimated eyeballs, which is always that's a bit of a science. But yes, if you feed BGP tools, I can give better information on adjacencies or peers. Other root collectors are available, to use the famous BBC phrase. Writebris is not currently accepting new sessions, but RootViews is, who is also on LINX. BGP tools obviously is, otherwise I wouldn't be giving this talk. Radar is a multi-hop only one, but I would recommend you feed those guys as well. They're really nice people. And yeah, here's the sort of brief breakdown. Of course, if you're on other internet exchanges, you should feed them in all relevant locations that have different tables, because it's really helpful for the whole research community to get better information on how the internet works. The excuse that I would say is that the academics can't do a very good job of understanding or proposing new technologies if they don't know how the internet is wired up in the first place. And this is the kind of data that they use to figure that out. Questions? Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Gosh, that was quick.
Sorry, I say 50 minutes, it's like 5.
No. So now we've got a couple of questions to fill the fill the time.
Or people get to go to the break early, before the other speaker, of course.
Yeah. OK.
Cool.
Well, yeah, you'll be around in the coffee break, won't you, if anyone's got any questions. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.